Hello everybody and welcome to this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. Place we talk about anything and everything that is geek, will be TV, comics, movies, and video games. And this week I want to discuss a very cool topic. And just want to start off by thanking everybody for watching the 100th episode. It was a lot of fun to do, real hard work, and I want to thank Ellen for all the hard work she put in helping to edit and editing and filming the episode, making it look as good as it did. So definitely all thanks to Ellen. I love you, babe. Thank you for doing all that and making the 100th episode look so good. Thank you all for watching and supporting Geek Corner all these years, make it to 100 episodes, and here's the 100 more, like I said, at the end of 100. So thank y'all for watching, supporting. Really appreciate it. Today I decided for episode 101, I went through back and forth with a bunch of different ideas, and I decided, and I said it was originally going to be at one time it was originally going to be one episode, and then another going to be another episode. But I will just say those two particular episodes are going to take a lot more time to prep for, so they'll be in the future. But today I want to do something, so I just decided on one that was going to be really, really fun and very interesting, and that is my top 10 list of the coolest geek vehicles. And when I mean geek vehicles, anything from comics and movies and TV shows and stuff, mainly movies and comics, you might as well say, but all the different ones from over the years of like sci-fi and fantasy. They're just awesome vehicles. This is the top 10 list of the top 10 of those vehicles, geek vehicles that I thought personally were the most awesome. And start off at number 10, the Ghost Rider. I can say the Hell Cycle, his motorcycle. Anyway, Ghost Rider's motorcycle. I mean, look how cool this. I know this is the version from the movie, from the first Nick Cage movie, but to me, it looked the most awesome. I mean, I've seen versions from the comics and everything that didn't quite hold up to the standard of that one. I mean, it just looked so awesome. The visual of it and everything. I mean, it just looked intimidating and just look awesome and cool and just something you'd want to ride. I mean, personally, I'm not one for riding motorcycles, but I would not mind riding that. I really would not. And I just thought it was just, I mean, it just so cool to look at. I mean, it just, like I said, it's just awesome. There's no other word for it. It just looks so cool, and the visual of Ghost Rider on the back of it just makes it so much better. Just actually see it come to life on screen and everything. And as I said, it don't hold a candle to. I mean, the comics versions do not hold a candle to this. I mean, the only way you make Ghost Rider even cooler is he's on like a ghost horse with fire shooting out of his eyes and everything like that. And that happened in the movie also. Spoiler alert. But I've seen it. I mean, that's, to me, is the coolest version of his motorcycle. And that's why it made it to at least number 10 on my list. And why number 10, if it's so cool? Because there are some that are cooler than that. So stay tuned for that. And that's why I named number 10. And I just want to take this time to say that all the images you see on here, on this episode, they belong to all the properties and everything you see belong to the rightful content owners and not to me. And every picture you see here belongs to said content owners and not me, so don't get mad at me. This is purely for educational purposes. You can't get the full impact unless you see it. On to number 9 is one of my favorite ships. It's from Star Wars, the Star Destroyer. I mean, it just don't get any cooler than that. I mean, to me, this is my favorite kind of starship right here. You see, it's a picture of the Super Star Destroyer, also same category. So definitely, it's just the coolest ship. I mean, I was looking at something this morning while prepping for this show, and it actually dwarfs the Enterprise. I mean, they showed a picture. I saw a picture this morning. It just dwarfs. I mean, you see the Enterprise over here. I think it's the D over here, the Enterprise D, and you see it over here. It is only, I mean, it's only as big as the nose. The Enterprise is only as big as the Star Destroyer's nose. It dwarfs the Enterprise. And it ain't the Superstar Destroyer. That'd make it like a flea by comparison. But I mean, the Superstar Destroyer dwarfs the Star Destroyers themselves. But if you look at you probably can find it online somewhere. I think it's on. I forgot what site I found it on, but either way, it dwarfs the Enterprise D, and the Enterprise D is supposed to be a Galaxy-class starship, but this dwarfs that. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, and you see, it's an intimidating force for the Empire. I mean, you see Star Destroyers coming, and folks just get out of the way. The way they show in the Star Wars universe. I mean, it's just an awesome ship, and also with the fact you got the you got Super Star Destroyer, which makes them appear to look like a flea by comparison, just about. I mean, like Vader's ship, I think it's the Enforcer. I think it is. I mean, it's just so flipping huge. I mean, it's just an awesome ship. It's just an absolute awesome ship, and it's a very powerful, intimidating force. I mean, not as much as the Death Star, mind you, but still intimidating enough in its own right, and that's why it made it to number 9 on my list. And number 8 is a favorite of mine from Star Trek, and any generation of Star Trek, even all the way back to Enterprise that had this one. Hold on a second. The Klingon Bird of Prey. I'm gonna say in the Star Trek Encounters video game, just give another good look there. I mean, in the Star Trek Encounters video game, it was actually a scout class. It was actually classified as a scout class Klingon ship. But to me, it's always been a very strong. It was, from what I've seen, it's so much more than just a scout class ship. I mean, you've seen these things engage in battle, and everybody's pesky as a TIE fighter, just about. I mean, especially if they get together in a group, they're pretty formidable, especially in groups. I mean, and you just look at the design; it's just so cool. The guns out like here. And you have like one torpedo launcher in the nose. I mean, and to me, it looks even better. I mean, I've seen it like this with the wings down, kind of. And I was just about to download that picture, but when I found that one, I was like, that one's way better, because that's my favorite way. Is when the wing formation is up like this, with the guns pointing down instead of like this. It's like this with the wings out spread. I mean, it looks more dangerous like that, and more ready for battle ready like that. To me, and that's what makes that look so cool. I mean, and like I said, and my favorite version is actually from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, General Chang's ship. His bird of prey, which can fire while cloaked. You imagine that? How dangerous a ship that is? I mean, a ship that can fire while cloaked. They just sit there and just lob torpedoes and have you destroyed before you can even really respond, and you don't know where it's coming from. I mean, look what happened in the movie where it blasted the Chancellor's ship, and you don't even know if the Enterprise did it or not. I mean, just out of nowhere, but it's a firing while cloaked underneath the Enterprise. I mean, it's just, how cool is that? I mean, there's only one other ship I could think of that could have gotten this spot more than this, and that is the Riemann Warbird Scimitar, the Shinzon ship from Star Trek Nemesis, which can fire, which has an almost impenetrable cloak and is armed to the teeth with disruptors and torpedo bays and shielding. And actually, I mean, the one flaw in the bird of prey is that it has to drop its shields before it can cloak, but not with a scimitar. Scimitar can actually fire and can actually cloak, but still be protected because it has secondary shields. I mean, it's built for war. It's built for conquest, but still, there's something about the Klingon bird of prey that's just it just stands out in my mind as one of the coolest ships in Star Trek, and that's why it made it to number 8 on my list. And number 7 on the list is actually something that was kind of unexpected. I thought of it like kind of the last minute. It actually replaced another ship on this list that I will not mention. But it's not actually a ship. It's something from all the way back in my childhood. It's just, I could not do a vehicles list without this. And that is the Dragon Zord from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I mean, how can you have a list of the coolest geek vehicles in geek movie and TV shows and comics without including the Dragon Zord? I mean, how can you, or a Zord of some kind, but particularly the Green Ranger's Dragon Zord? I mean, the Megazord was pretty cool, and Titanus the Charizord was pretty cool, but they don't hold a candle to the Green Ranger. I mean, just with his flute, he summons this thing. I mean, and what makes it even cooler is that it can attach to other Zords and make them look even more awesome. I mean, like the Mega Dragon Zord in battle mode, and combined with the Mastodon, Triceratops, and Saber-Tooth Tiger become Dragon Zord in battle mode. And you have, like I said, connect with the Megazord, become Mega Dragon Zord, and then all them combined with the Titanus to become the Ultra Zord, which is just armed to the teeth unto itself also. I mean, it's just so cool. I mean, and I also think of it this way. Just think about having the ability to summon your own. I'm drawing from another fandom here, but wouldn't it be cool to just have a flute in which you can use to summon your own Mecha Godzilla? I mean it. I mean, and that's what I've always thought of Dragon Zord is the true Mecha Godzilla. I mean, think about it when he summons this thing. Every time you ever saw it on a TV show, he comes ashore like Godzilla and starts tearing up everything like Godzilla. And as a matter of fact, even in the Sega Genesis video game, when you play as Dragon Zord, when he roared, it was Godzilla's roar. Just mechanized and turned up a little bit hyper, but it was still Godzilla. I mean, that's why I've always said it's like a Mecha Godzilla. And to me, that's what makes that even cooler. And then he has like the tail drill and the finger missiles like Mecha Godzilla had. I mean, it's just so flippin' cool. I mean, Green Ranger's cool anyway. He's the coolest of the original 6 Rangers anyway. And I mean, why else would to this day Jason Frank still be popular? Still be the most popular and wanted Ranger at any convention. I mean, even though he's been like White Ranger and everything, everybody still remembers him as the Green Ranger. And to me, that's how I still remember him too. He's just the coolest. Of course, like I said, they kind of messed it up lately where they've put out a toy line for little kids. They have put out the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for little bitty kids, but they've messed up the Green Ranger in that. Let me give you a visual aid here. It's missing this, the shield. It's on. There's a red and black Ranger with the Megazord playset that have this. But they don't have that with the Green Ranger. He looks like all the other ones. And to me, that just made me mad because I would want to add that in my collection. But now I don't because you messed it up. But beside that, Dragon Zord is just the coolest. I mean, I wanted one as a kid so bad. The toy of it so bad as a kid. But I came that close one time, but it didn't ever happen. But who knows? Maybe one day. But still, that is just the coolest of any and all Zords that have ever come after it, or come before it or after it. The Dragon Zord is just the coolest, and that's why it made it number 7 on my list. And number 6, yes, there's actually one cooler than the Dragon Zord. Number 6 is one from the Star Wars universe. I just think that anybody would want the Imperial Speeder Bike. I mean, that is just so cool. I mean, who wouldn't want a bike that just you don't have to worry about You don't have to worry about wheels coming off of it or anything like that. You just fly it around. Basically a flying motorcycle, kind of like Lobos. I can't believe I didn't think to put it down on the list, but maybe for another day. I mean, something where it has a reverse on it. Just a flying motorcycle with a blaster on it. I mean, who wouldn't want that? I mean, just it looks so awesome in the movies. I mean, the toys look incredible. I mean, it's just so cool. And I personally wouldn't mind wanting to have in real life, to tell you the truth. I mean, it just looks so awesome. And I bet it'd be great to drive to have from real. And I said that's why it's number 6 on my list. I mean, it's just so cool. And number 5 on my list is probably up for debate of it being this low on the list, but it's this low on my list. But it's still one of the most well-known time machines in all of geek media, the DeLorean from Back to the Future. I mean, I don't talk that much about Back to the Future on here because, well, I'll just go ahead and say I'm not that much of a fan of Back to the Future, of the Back to the Future movies. I mean, I've never really seen them. Well, I have seen them, it just ain't really interested me. But maybe one of these days I'll sit down and actually watch them, and I may like them. Who knows? But the one main thing I do like about that movie is the DeLorean. I mean, the DeLorean car, just the regular DeLorean car, non-modified real car, looks pretty neat anyway. It looks kind of futuristic anyway, but the DeLorean from the movie, it looks incredible when all that. I mean, it's just something different about it. You ain't ever seen a time machine pretty much like that ever again in the movies, except just in Back to the Future. But excuse me, like I said, it just looks awesome with those engines on the back and everything, and then of course that often seen iconic shot of it reaching its top speed, and it's all of a sudden, and it just leads to flaming fiery tire tracks in its wake. I mean, that's just cool. But to me, the even cooler version of that is in 2, the one they had in, I don't know if he shows up in 1 or in 2, the one that flies, the one where the wheels fold down and it ain't just a car, it's a flying car. I mean, that in itself is just plain cool. I mean, it just looks totally awesome. I mean, I actually like that version of the DeLorean even better than the original. I mean, it just looks cool just to see it flying like that, and that's why it made it number 5 on the list. I mean, I'm not a fan of movies, but I still like the machine. I still like the car, so that's why it made it on my list. And number 4 is yet another iconic time machine in all of sci-fi and geek related things. The TARDIS from Doctor Who. I mean, all the last few years, I've gotten really into watching Doctor Who. I just think it's really cool, really good show, really cool, and I just like it a lot. I mean, it's just, and the DeLorean and the fact and the TARDIS. To me, the TARDIS is better than the DeLorean because there's so much more you can do with a TARDIS that you can't do with the DeLorean. I mean, DeLorean is just a time machine. The TARDIS is not just a time machine; it's a spaceship. It's a spaceship. I mean, and they talk about the cloaking circuit that he just makes it a telephone box. I mean, that's cool, and I love the whole bigger on the inside than it is on the outside thing about it. I mean, that's just awesome. I mean. But the fact it can fly through space and go back in time, travel through time, fly through space, even traverse different alternate dimensions, which is done a few times. I mean, it's gone through different dimensions, like different parallel Earths and stuff. I mean, that's just awesome. And like I said, I just like Doctor Who anyway. And there's probably plenty of cool vehicles in that, but that is the main iconic one of the whole series. I mean. Other than the character itself, this is what it's based around, is the TARDIS, and a little bit of geek question of the day, and a Geek Corner question of the day during this. Can any of y'all tell me what TARDIS stands for? Anybody out there that's a fan definitely knows what it stands for. fan or not, can you tell me what TARDIS stands for? I mean, TARDIS is an anagram name. It's initials for something. It's initials for something. Can you tell me what TARDIS stands for? Drop in the comment box below. I'd love to see who answers this. And I said, to me, the TARDIS is just awesome. It's just a great vehicle and for a great series, and that's why it's number 4 on my list. And number 3 is one of my favorites. Has always been one of my favorites. I have a collection of them over here behind me, if you can see that real good. And that is the Batmobile from Batman. And as you can see, I picked this version because this is my favorite version, and always has been my favorite version of the Batmobile. I mean, it's been a car that's been around for like 75 years. I mean, it's been around for like 75 years, gone through so many iterations. I mean, most iconic being the 60 series, the Michael Keaton movies, the Dark Knight series, and the Dark Knight trilogy with the Tumbler, and now where you've got this new Batmobile in Arkham Knight, where it looks like a tank. Looks even more like a tank than the Tumbler does. I mean, Tumbler looks like a cross between a tank and a Lamborghini. This just looks like a straight out like they're trying to almost cross a tank with the Burton Batmobile. But to me, the Burton Batmobile stands as the iconic Batmobile. I mean, who wouldn't want to ride around in that thing? I mean, I like the one from the 60s. I've seen the one in the 60s in person, but I would just much rather ride. I would love to ride around in it, but I just like the one from the 80s better. I mean, the one from the Tim Burton movies better. I mean, it just looks so cool. I mean, the jet engine in the back, the fins, the long body, and later on in the movie when you see the the shields that pop out of it, and later on the machine guns that come out of it. I mean, it looks so cool. And to me, that is the quintessential Batmobile. But they're all cool except for maybe the one in Beware the Batman, which looks horrible. Of course, everybody thinks about it. That show was horrible. But, I mean, I've seen horrible versions of the Batmobile, and I'll just say it, the one from Batman Beyond was really cool, too. I mean, that's yet another flying car. I mean, futuristic car for futuristic Batman. I mean, that was one of the things I liked about that show, was the Batmobile. I mean, it just looks awesome. And the one from the original Batman animated series looked awesome. Like I said, but there's been good designs and there's been bad designs, but all in all, the Batmobile is just an awesome piece of machinery for the Dark Knight detective Cape Crusader to have. I mean, it's just an incredible piece of machinery. I mean, it's just and it just looks awesome too, and that's why it made number 3 on my list. And number 2 is one that a lot of folks wouldn't even make it probably this high on the list, but on my list, it is just a great addition to the. It is just. Well, to me, it's one of my favorite vehicles, and that is the TIE Fighter from Star Wars. I mean, I just like it. I mean, the TIE Fighter is just. I mean, it's quick. I mean, when numbers, it is definitely an intimidating. I mean, it's just a tiny fighter, but in numbers, they're almost unstoppable. I mean, it's just. I mean, they're just. I mean, they could definitely be a threat. I mean, and when I was looking this up this morning, I didn't realize how many different classes of TIE fighters there were. I mean, there's so many other than just the iconic TIE Fighter that you saw that I just showed you. So you show another one, the TIE Interceptor, which was featured in Return of the Jedi. TIE Interceptor, which is one of my favorites, and of course the one of the most iconic versions, the TIE Advance, is flown by Darth Vader. I mean, it's cool. I mean, that one's one of my personal, if not my number 1 favorite. I mean, there's just so many different ones. Like there's the TIE, I think there's the TIE Defender, Hunter, Predator class from Legacy. There are TIE tanks from different video games. I mean, there's just so many different versions. And this one right here from a video game called Rebel Assault 2, the TIE Phantom, which actually has a cloaking device, and I just thought was awesome. And now you got The Force Awakens coming out next year. You got The Force Awakens coming out next year, and you've got all brand new TIE fighters, and this is one of the first orders or Imperial Remnant TIE fighters. It is now reversed in color from what it used to be. We could give you a side-by-side example here. I happen to have another one right here. See the difference? The design is basically different, but the colors are reversed, and it's almost the exact same kind of fighter. But this is actually now one of my favorites because of the coloring and everything. I mean, I just think it looks absolutely cool, and to me, that's what makes TIE Fighter. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, with X-Wings, I mean, there's so many other kinds of Rebel fighters and everything. But me being a fan of the Empire as I am, I just like them the best. And I just think, and that's why they're number 3 and then number 2 on my list of coolest vehicles. Because I said they're just such an impressive when they're in force. And that, to me, that is why they are number 2 on my list. And excuse me. And now number 1 on my list, I think, is a no-brainer. Definitely a no-brainer. Let me see, I'll get it up here real good. The Federation Starship USS Enterprise. I mean, I ain't listing off particular classes because the Enterprise is just a ship that's just been around for so many years. I mean, there's just so many different versions of Enterprise. And see, here's the example from the same picture. There's actually a bigger picture. You see all the versions of Enterprise, the NX-01 all the way to the 1701E. I mean, it's just been, and I mean, there are others too. I mean, I've seen an Enterprise G. I've seen an Enterprise. I've seen an Enterprise from an alternate dimension. It looks absolutely weird. And I mean, it's just so many different ones. And just a little quick thing. Here's that picture. Here's that picture I mentioned earlier. Meet me in a minute. There is the original Enterprise. You see that there? That is the nose of a Star Destroyer. That is the size difference of the Enterprise compared to a Star Destroyer. And of course, there's so many different versions of Enterprise. Like, so you got the refitted of the original Enterprise. You've got the Enterprise A, which looks almost exactly identical to that. You had the Enterprise B, which I happen to have right here. It's one of my favorite versions. You had the C, the D, the E. So you had so many different versions. And then, of course, you have the J.J. Abrams version, the reboot version, which looks like this, which is basically the same design of the original Constitution class, just with bigger warp nacelles. I mean, it's just, I mean, like I said, when you think spaceships, other than the Millennium Falcon, that is the one that comes up in every conversation, is the USS Enterprise. And I mean, the Enterprise goes back even further than these ships here. There was actually in Star Trek mythology, there's actually a different one that looks like one little thing, like a little like a bridge set control module like this, and it looks like hoops around it going like that, flying through space. I mean, I've seen paper airplanes made like that, and they fly pretty far. But that is like the first spaceship Enterprise. I mean, how many ships? I'm gonna say, how many ships make such an iconic impact that they get a space shuttle named after them? And that's what happened with Enterprise. But like I said, that to me, that is just the quintessential spaceship. I mean, a lot of these and a quintessential geek vehicle. I mean, when you think geek stuff, that's about the first thing you think of is the USS Enterprise, is Star Trek. And that's why it's number 1 on my list, because when you think geek vehicles, that's about the first thing you think of, other than the Millennium Falcon. But what do you think? Did I miss one? Which is your favorite geek vehicle? And again, like I asked earlier, can y'all out there tell me what TARDIS stands for? Because I know, but I'm not gonna give away. I want to see if y'all know. And let me know. As always, drop me a comment box. Drop it in the comment box. Drop a comment box. I love to hear what y'all have to say, and I love to hear who answers my question out there. And that's all for this week's edition of Miss J's Geek Corner. As always, you have any comments about the show whatsoever, drop them in the comment box. You have any ideas about things you want to hear me talk about, drop them in the comment box. I'm always looking for fresh new topics to talk about, so definitely drop in the comment box. I would love to hear what y'all have to say. I'd love to hear y'all's ideas. Like, subscribe, share with all your friends, tell all your friends, and I'll see y'all next time.